joke quick enough, so I'll just go straight into the amendment. It is a very simple amendment. It removes lines 33 of the bill that reads for about any other profession deemed qualified and approved by the board. This was removed because we recognize the importance of not devaluing social workers who are licensed clinical professionals, as well as licensed professional counselors of mental health. We want to make sure that we're only respecting the value of mental health professions that are able to be licensed, and that is the amendment, and I'll ask for a roll call.
Mr. Secretary, yep, Senator Benini. The amendment, we have the bill before us. You're asking to table the amendment, sir.
I apologize.
We're on an amendment. The bill's been read in and we're on the amendment to the bill.
Table the amendment, and I'll ask to table the bill later.
Motion has been made to table the amendment. At this time, we will have an.
So what's going on?
Can I object? I don't know how.
Senator Sokola, do you have an objection to the motion?
I object to the motion.
Thank you. We have an objection to the motion to table the amendment. So we will now have a roll call on the motion to table. If you vote yes to table, you will obviously table the amendment. If you vote no and are in alignment with Senator Sokola's objection of no, we will vote on the tabling of the amendment now. Mr. Secretary, kindly call roll.
Senator Benini.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Brown. No. Senator Ennis. No. Senator Gay. No. Senator Hansen.
No.
No. Senator Hawker.
No.
No. Senator Lawson.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Lockman.
No.
No. Senator Lopez. Senator Lopez.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Manzavinos. No. Senator McBride.
No.
No. Senator Pardee. No. Senator Pettyjohn. Yes. Senator Pinckney. No. Senator Poore. Senator Poore. No. Senator Richardson. Yes. Senator Sokola. No. Senator Sturgeon. No. Senator Townsend.
No.
No. Senator Walsh. No. Senator Wilson.
Yes.
Yes. Madam President, the roll call reveals 6 yes and 15 no.
Having failed to receive the votes necessary, the motion to table the amendment declared failed in the Senate. Senator Pinckney, to you, ma'am, on the amendment.
I'd like to ask for a roll call on Senate Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 321.
Kindly call roll on Senate Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 321.
Senator Benini. Yes. Senator Brown. Yes. Senator Ennis. Yes. Senator Gay. Yes. Senator Hansen. Yes. Senator Hawker.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Lawson.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Lockman.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Lopez. Yes. Senator Manzavinos. Yes. Senator McBride. Yes. Senator Pardee.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Pettyjohn. Yes. Senator Pinckney.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Poore. Yes. Senator Richardson. Yes. Senator Sokola. Yes. Senator Sturgeon.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Townsend.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Walsh.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Wilson.
Yes.
Yes. Madam President, the roll call on Senate Amendment 1 to Senate Bill number 321, 21 yes.
Having received the required and sufficient number of votes, Senate Amendment 1 is now part of Senate Bill 321. Senator Pinckney.
Thank you, Madam President. Senate Bill 321 comes to us directly from the Pardons Bill. The bill is a request to allow additional mental health providers to complete the mental health evaluation piece of the pardon process. The bill very simply will allow licensed licensed clinical social workers, psychiatric mental health nurse practitioners, and licensed professional counselors of mental health to also complete the mental health evaluations of the pardons process in an attempt to help speed up the pardons process, which is severely delayed because of the lack of available providers and the cost that those providers require. This bill will just help to move along the pardons process, and I will ask for a roll call if there are no questions.
Senator Lopez.
Thank you, Madam President. With the permission of the sponsor, I'd like to be added. Thank you for this piece of legislation.
Always happy to have you, sir.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Secretary, kindly call roll on Senate Bill 321 as amended with Senate Amendment 1.
Senator Benini? Yes. Senator Brown? Yes. Senator Ennis? Yes. Senator Gay? Yes. Senator Hansen? Yes. Senator Hocker?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Lawson?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Lockman?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Lopez?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Mansavinos? Yes. Senator McBride?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Pardee? Yes. Senator Pettyjohn? Yes. Senator Pinckney?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Poore? Yes. Senator Richardson? Yes. Senator Secola? Yes. Senator Sturgeon? Yes. Senator Townsend? Yes. Senator Walsh? Yes. Senator Wilson? Yes. Madam President, the roll call on Senate Bill number 321 as amended by Senate Amendment number 1, 21 yes.
Having received the required and sufficient number of votes, Senate Bill 321 as amended with Senate Amendment 1 declared passed the Senate. I personally want to thank our colleagues as the chair of the Board of Pardons. That was a very significant piece of legislation that will be extremely helpful to our state. So thank you. Senator Townsend.
Thank you, Madam President. I yield to Senator Hansen for purposes of Senate Bill 327.
Senator Hansen.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to ask that Senate Bill 327 be brought before the Senate and read by title only for its consideration.
Okay, we have the objection, but we have to still read in by title the bill at this time, please, Mr. Reading Clerk.
Senate Bill 327, sponsored by Senator Henson, Representative S. Moore, an act to amend Title IX of the Delaware Code relating to schools. Madam President, that concludes the reading of Senate Bill 327 by title only.
Okay, we have to go to a roll call on 327's motion before us. There's an objection to consider the bill. So, Mr. Secretary, call roll.
Senator Benini?
It's your objection, sir, to the bill.
Yes.
Yes.
No, I'm sorry.
Senator Benini voting no. Senator Brown? Yes. Senator Ennis? Yes. Senator Gay? Yes. Senator Hansen?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Hocker? No. Senator Lawson?
No.
No. Senator Lockman?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Lopez? Yes. Senator Mansavinos? Yes. Senator McBride?
Yes.
Yes. Senator Pardee? Yes. Senator Pettyjohn? Yes. Senator Pettyjohn voting no. Senator Pinckney? Yes. Senator Poore? Yes. Senator Richardson? No. Senator Secola? Yes. Senator Sturgeon? Yes. Senator Townsend? Yes. Senator Walsh? Yes. Senator Wilson? No. Madam President, the roll call reveals 15 yes and 6 no.
Having received the required and sufficient number of votes, the consideration of Senate Bill 327 is before the Senate. Senator Hansen.
Thank you, Madam President. Good land use planning involves the coordination of many elements, and you see many of those laid out in the Delaware Code as the 10 requirements in the various counties' comprehensive plans. There's a transportation or mobility element to be developed in coordination with DelDOT for a balanced and sustainable transportation system, a water and sewer element to be developed in coordination with DENREC for future wastewater disposal and potable water, a conservation element to be developed in coordination with our Department of Agriculture and DENREC for the use and protection of natural resources and agriculture, and a recreation and open space element Developed with DENREC, a housing element, coordinated with the State Housing Authority. Historic preservation element, developed in consultation with the Division of Cultural and Historical Affairs. An economic and development element, developed in consultation with the Division of Small Business. A community design element with design recommendations for neighborhood development and redevelopment. An intergovernmental coordination element, which requires consideration of the effects of comprehensive plan on neighborhood municipalities. And a future land use plan element, designating the location of future residential and non-residential land uses. Notably absent from this list of elements is an educational element coordinated with the Department of Education and the local school districts, and that's a problem. The Department of Education and our local school districts needs to be at the table when the counties are planning for new growth and development. Planning for residential development needs to take into consideration the ability of the local school system to respond to an increase or a decrease in the number of students. Local districts often have their own master plans in which they're planning years out for where they anticipate needing new school facilities, when they anticipate needing to go for referendum, how many students they believe they're going to need to accommodate. When these plans exist, they need to be part of the discussion when the counties are developing and updating their comprehensive plans, but today they are not. This bill comes to us after discussions with all three counties, the Office of State Planning and Coordination, the Department of Education, Delaware School Boards Association, school superintendents, and even the home building community. All parties came together in the language that you see reflected in this bill. What this bill does is require a new element in the county's comprehensive plans, an educational element coordinated with the Department of Education, the local districts, the Office of State Planning Coordination, in order to guide the construction and allocation of school facilities. The districts that have gone through the trouble to plan for growth in their districts need to have those plans and that effort accounted for in the larger comprehensive planning for growth by the counties. By July 1st, 2024, the Department of Education, in consultation with the local school districts, the local planning agencies, the Office of State Planning Coordination, and municipalities, must develop guidance and policies for implementing this new element. And lastly, effective as of January 1st, 2023, this new educational element must be included in the next update of the county's comprehensive plans. If there are no questions from my colleagues, I ask for a roll call.
Senator Pettyjohn?
Yep, thank you, Madam President. For the sponsor, this bill, is this replacing the intent that the sponsor was going forward with Senate Bill 287?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Senator.
thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President.
Senator Benini?
Thank you, Madam President. I actually had some questions on this bill. So I know everybody's temper goes up when I stood up, but I actually have some questions. So when we are rolling these in, I apologize, that's not the right word, but rolling these in to the educational component, this one specifically I'm talking about, I realize you're talking about other ones. The educational component, are we mandating that new development has to pay, quite frankly, or account for financially the potential growth?
No, not with this bill. So here's I think where you're getting confused, because it was mentioned by Senator Pettyjohn as well. This new bill, this bill, Senate Bill 327, is an outgrowth of Senate Bill 287 that you're thinking about. That's the bill that was previously in the Education Committee, where there was the discussion about the voluntary school assessment, and there was still a discussion, but there's a lot of discussion that needs to happen with that. That's not ready yet. So all of the discussion about the voluntary school assessment and the assessment of new development for education is to be considered at some point in the future in another bill. What was taken from 287 and put into this bill is just that new comprehensive plan element. That was the element that everyone was in favor of, that there was no objection to that. So it's just a new element. This just says that when counties go to revise and update their comprehensive plans, they need to talk to the school districts and have, as part of their planning and coordination in that plan, a discussion of of how they're going to do their future land use process, how the schools are going to be involved in providing input, that sort of thing.
Okay, so, Madam President, if I may. So, and I apologize, Senator, I'm sure you've told us before, were private sector folks involved in these discussions?
Yes, they were. We had the home building community involved in this one.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Roll call?
Mr. Secretary, kindly call roll on Senate Bill 327.
Senator Benini. Yes. Yes. Senator Brown. Yes. Senator Ennis. Yes. Senator Gay. Yes. Senator Hansen. Yes. Senator Hocker. Yes. Senator Lawson. Yes. Senator Lockman.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Lopez. Yes. Senator Manzavinos. Yes. Senator McBride. Yes. Senator Pardee. Yes. Senator Pettyjohn. Yes. Senator Pinckney. Yes. Senator Poor. Yes. Senator Richardson. Yes. Senator Secola. Yes. Senator Sturgeon.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Townsend. Yes. Senator Walsh. Yes. Senator Wilson. Yes. Madam President, the roll call on Senate Bill number 327, 21 yes.
Having received the required and sufficient number of votes, Senate Bill 327 declared passed the Senate. Senator Townsend.
Thank you, Madam President. Just want to confirm, had a communication come over? Did you already read that in? Okay, it's read in. So then I would yield to Senator McBride for purposes of House Concurrent Resolution number 99.
Mr. Reading Clerk, kindly read House Bill 99. Is it House Concurrent Resolution 99?
House Concurrent Resolution number 99, sponsored by Representative Morrison, Bombach, Dorsey Walker, Osinski, Senators McBride, Pinckney, Secola, Townsend, and others. Acknowledging June 2022 as LGBTQ+ Pride Month in Delaware. Madam President, that concludes the reading of House Concurrent Resolution number 99 by title only.
House Concurrent Resolution 99 before the Senate. Senator McBride.
Thank you, Madam President. House Concurrent Resolution 99 was just passed by the Delaware State House and comes to us to mark LGBTQ+ Pride Month. We've discussed this before. We've had a long day, so I will not belabor the point. This resolution simply seeks to celebrate the vibrant diversity that the LGBTQ community brings to the state of Delaware and to our country, to celebrate our history and to celebrate our future. It also calls for us to build a state where all people are safe to live. I think the language in this resolution should be language that all of us, regardless of what our positions are on individual policy questions regarding LGBTQ equity and justice, I believe that the language in this resolution is language that all of us should be able to get behind to build a world where everyone can live free from violence and live as they are. And so with that, Madam President.
Senator Pardee.
There we go. Madam President, this is another one that got past me. I would like to be added as a co-sponsor.
So noted. And Senator Pinckney.
Thank you, Madam President. Also, in an attempt to not belabor the point, I will just say we're here, we're queer, happy Pride.
Senator McBride.
Thank you, Madam President. Happy Pride, and I request a roll call.
Mr. Secretary, kindly call roll on House Concurrent Resolution 99.
Senator Benini. Absent. Senator Brown. Yes. Senator Ennis. Yes. Senator Gay. Yes. Senator Hansen. Yes. Senator Hocker. Absent. Senator Lawson. Absent. Senator Lockman.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Lopez. Yes. Senator Manzavinos. Yes. Senator McBride.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Pardee. Yes. Senator Pettyjohn. Absent. Senator Pinckney.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Poor. Yes. Senator Richardson. No. Senator Secola. Yes. Senator Sturgeon.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Townsend. Yes. Yes. Senator Walsh. Yes. Senator Wilson. Absent. Madam President, the roll call on House Concurrent Resolution number 99, 15 yes, 1 no, and 5 absent.
Having received the required and sufficient number of votes, House Concurrent Resolution 99 declare passed the Senate. Senator Townsend.
Thank you, Madam President. I yield to Senator Poor for purposes of House Bill 450.
Senator Poor.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I ask that House Bill 450 be brought before the Senate by title only for consideration.
Mr. Reading Clerk, kindly read in House Bill 450, title only.
Yeah, right.
We're waiting for the meeting.
House Bill 450 with House Amendment 1, sponsored by Representative Longhurst, Schwarzkopf, Mitchell, Bombach, Bolden, Griffith, Lynn, and Senators Poor, Pinckney, Sokola, Sturgeon, Townsend, and others. An act to amend the Delaware Code relating to deadly weapons. Madam President, that concludes the reading of House Bill number 450 with House Amendment 1 by title only.
House Bill 450 before the Senate. Senator Poor.
Thank you, Madam President. I've served in this chamber for 10 years, and the same thing that motivated me to first seek public office is the same thing I'm still fighting for each and every day that I'm here. My number one priority in this job and in my life is the protection of our families. I do believe that we have the right to protect our families, up to and including owning firearms for our defense. But I also believe our families have a right to attend elementary school, to go to college, to attend church, to shop at the grocery store, and to visit a movie theater without the threat of a gunman committing mass murder in a matter of minutes. These beliefs are not incompatible. Time and time again, our courts have ruled that our Second Amendment rights are not absolute, and we can take steps to protect our families by limiting access to the most destructive and deadly weapons on the market. What is not compatible to me is sitting on our hands and doing nothing while children across our country are being torn apart by the kind of high-powered weapons that exist to serve only one single purpose. AK-47s are not made for hunting. AR-15s are not made for target shooting, and Uzis are not made for self-defense. These are weapons of war specifically designed for one end, to sow as much death imaginable in as little time as possible. And right now, they are so easy to buy, so readily available, that children are picking them up at their local sporting goods store on their way to murder other children. We can debate this bill, we can debate the Second Amendment, but what is not debatable is the fact that 19 children in Uvalde, Texas, were blown apart by the weapons you want to protect. I'm willing to debate whatever you want, but I will remind you every single time of those 19 children and whose parents struggled to identify them after they were murdered. Some people in this room have argued that this is a mental health issue, and that's what we should focus on rather than gun safety. I say we can and we must do both. I would remind my colleagues that House Majority Leader Valerie Longhurst, the prime sponsor of this bill that's now before us, is also the prime sponsor of House Bill 100, which created mental health service units all over the Delaware elementary schools. She is also the prime sponsor of House Bill 300, which will create mental health service units for all Delaware middle schools. She is also the prime sponsor of House Bill 301, which implements a statewide mental health education program for each grade. And she is also the prime sponsor of House Bill 303, which yesterday, with unanimous support in the committee hearing, came out which would require insurance companies to cover an annual mental health checkup. We are addressing mental health in the first state. But we also have the power in our hands to make it harder for someone with evil in their hearts to get their hands on such destructive weapons. Madam President, today we have legislation before us right now that will put us on a path to make our children and our communities safer. House Bill 450 will discontinue the buying and selling of 63 specific assault rifle weapons in our state, along with copycat weapons with a flash suppressor, a folding stock, a grenade launcher, and other specifically designed features. These are the exact weapons that have been used in 7 of the deadliest mass shootings of the mass decade. These are the exact weapons that have killed 25% of our law enforcement who have died in the line of duty in 2016 and 2017. These are the exact weapons that have caused 85% of our deaths in mass shootings. And these are the exact weapons that were banned by our federal government from 1994 to 2004. Not only was it constitutional then, but it definitely reduced the chances of death from a mass shooting by 70%, according to the research from the Journal of Trauma and Acute Care Surgery. Some people in this room have also told me that they believe this legislation is reactionary. Maybe so. But let me remind them again, and everyone listening, that what we are reacting to the children being slaughtered in their classrooms. We are reacting to the music lovers being butchered at a concert. We are reacting to fun-loving adults being massacred at a nightclub. And we are reacting to God-loving men and women being exterminated while they're sitting in their pews praying. Some people in this room have told me the legislation is unnecessary because we've never experienced a mass shooting in Delaware, similar to what we've seen. We've seen this at Texas elementary schools where 21 people were killed and 18 people were injured. We saw it in a Texas church, 26 people killed, 22 injured. A New York grocery store, 10 people were killed, 3 people were injured. A Nevada concert where 60 people were killed and nearly 900 people injured as they ran for their lives. A Florida nightclub where 49 people were killed and 58 were injured. A Colorado movie theater where 12 people were killed and 70 people injured. A Pittsburgh synagogue where 11 people were killed and 6 people were injured. And so many other locations where our children should always remain safe. And to those folks, what I say to them is it would be unimaginably negligent for us to wait until our children are lying dead and unidentifiable before we act. So we can, right here today, take action to prevent the next tragedy. This bill will not solve every problem related to gun violence, but I can tell you it will make it significantly harder for the next would-be mass shooter to get his hands on the tools he needs to carry out the next bloodbath in our state. So let me take a moment to identify the scope of this bill. Not one single person in the state of Delaware who lawfully purchased their firearm will lose it as a result of this bill. Anyone who is currently possessing one of these guns would be allowed to keep them, repair them, use them at a licensed gun range or on private property. You can still transfer them to your family members or leave them to your children. The Delaware Lethal Firearm Safety Act of 2022 will even help you voluntarily obtain a certificate that proves that you owned your weapon before the law took effect, just to give law-abiding gun owners added reassurance that they will not be turned into criminals overnight. Law enforcement and military personnel acting in their official capacity also would be exempt. We have no interest in taking away powers and equipment from men and women whose job it is to protect and serve. What we want to do is take weapons capable of wholesale slaughter out of the public marketplace. The time for us to stand up and show some political courage on gun safety is now. Even in Congress, which has failed to act on minimum wage, which has failed to act on paid leave, which has failed to act on gun safety time and time again, progress is finally being made. Even Senator Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says Congress should act and has told reporters he will vote yes on stricter gun laws. It's not that he's had a change of heart. It's not that Mitch McConnell knows the voters he needs to stay in office are sick and tired of seeing children murdered in schools. They've had enough of mass shootings and bloodshed being met with the silence in the halls of the government. So here in Delaware, this is the responsible gun safety legislation that Delawareans have demanded time and time again. This is the kind of responsible gun legislation that will save lives. So I would love to run to a roll call, but I am sure that there are questions.
Senator Hocker?
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you.
The mass shootings were really done by violent criminals. There's not a law, there's not a one of them that didn't break a law. What makes you think they're not going to break this law if it's passed here today?
Senator Hocker, as we discussed yesterday, I'm gonna reflect back to your point to the 18-year-old young man who went in with $3,000 and he purchased 2 assault weapons. He wasn't a criminal. He was following the law. The gun salesperson, whether he thought of anything, whether it clicked in his mind, how did an 18-year-old get $3,000? The reality is he didn't become a criminal till he started pulling the trigger. And what I would say to you is that we will not solve all gun issues, but what we will do is put a pin in this process. We will take a deep breath. We will lessen the amount of assault weapons on the streets. And that's why it is so important that we don't criminalize people that have already gone and purchased their weapons. If this is something that you love, that's fine, keep it. We're not looking to turn anyone into it. We want people to be able to protect their homes. We want them to protect themselves. But in reality, what we don't want is we don't need these weapons of war.
But he broke a law just as soon as he went into that school. But let's talk about that 18-year-old guy. He was in school at least 40 minutes before any
Senator
policeman-
Hocker, just so you keep it, I know you will, keep it relevant, please, to the weapons and all that.
Okay, she mentioned 18-year-old guy, so I think we need to talk about it.
All right, just keep
He went
it.
in school, he was in there at least 40 minutes with a gun before anybody went in there to apprehend him. He was observed outside that school firing shots 12 minutes before he went in. 12 minutes he was shooting outside the school before he went in and nobody tried to stop him. He went through an unsecured door, not locked. That's a huge problem, not having the right security in our schools today. And the money that we're wasting right now in Washington, there was way more than enough to have that school secured with policemen, off-duty policemen, or anybody. That's where we need to start. But he was also went into a door unlocked. And additionally, there are multiple social posts by the killer that were ignored, including statements about wanting to be a school shooter. And he was also photographed with domestic animals that he had killed for pleasure and photographed with a bloody bag containing dead cats. What more trigger do we need than that to keep that guy from getting a gun? He should have been on a list. He should have been able to buy those guns. There's just a mistake there.
Senator
There was
Hocker.
all kinds of warning signs and they were all completely ignored.
Yeah.
But we want to punish good law-abiding citizens because we did ignore all those. And you're shaking your head about punishing law-abiding citizens. I know in our gun shop, when a lady comes in and asks what's best for protection, we try to sell them a shotgun, a certain shotgun. That's the safest thing a lady could use because they won't go through a door if they miss and kill somebody else. They won't go through a wall and miss if they kill somebody else. But the gun that we recommend for a lady to shoot for home security, for her own self, is a shotgun that's on the list. That's on the list. Most of these shooters that you described are going to gun-free zones. That's another law they broke. And they look for those gun-free zones because they know they're safe. They know there's people there without guns.
Again, Senator, if you could, I respect you deeply and I respect your rights, but let's try to stay here, given the hour. You're talking about gun-free zones, that's a separate bill. Your comment about the shotgun and all was appropriate because that was in the bill. So we can just keep focused on the bill. Thank you, sir.
I don't think you really think that this is going to keep guns from the hands of criminals. I really don't think you think that. But it's going to punish a lot of law-abiding citizens. With that, I'd like to call witness Dave Hampton to the floor.
Privilege granted for Mr. Hampton. If you'll come forward, sir, up to this mic. Good evening. Last time I saw you earlier, it was, I think, morning or afternoon around here.
Thank you.
Yes, if you will, identify yourself, sir, your name, and if you happen to be representing anyone, or if you're just an individual, that's fine too.
My name is David Hampton. I'm a lifelong resident of the great state of Delaware. I'm here representing myself.
And what is your general experience with firearms?
I am a firearms instructor. I only deal with training low experience or no experience females classes.
And you heard my statement about recommending shotguns to those females. What's your thoughts towards that?
I agree. In some of the classes that I've done, the ladies have had recommendations of firearms that they should use. They come into my training class, they can't even handle a handgun. Some of them had revolvers. They couldn't even hold the gun properly.
And that's true. We have seen that with ladies. I'm fortunate. I have a wife that is licensed to carry, can shoot. She wanted to shoot an apple off my head and I would not let her.
Okay.
How will these bills affect your daily life?
It would affect my daily life in knowing that I've helped somebody get the proper training that they need. I'm giving them the ability to defend themselves without classes that I do. And I often have volunteers that will come in to help me with these ladies' classes. They won't get the proper training.
And you heard the sponsor of the bill talk about the years 94 to 2004 when we did have the gun ban. And she said that there was 70% reduction during those years. The study I saw said there wasn't enough reduction to make a difference. And that's why the Clinton administration put them back into effect. Are you familiar with that study?
Yes, I am somewhat familiar with it. I don't know the statistics on it though.
But it was put back because the study that I saw said very little.
Yes, correct.
Difference. And you heard her say like 70%
Yes,
reduction.
correct. Yes.
Okay. Is there anything you would like to add as far as what this bill will do to harm the good law-abiding citizen?
Well, I have been, like I say, lifelong resident of the state of Delaware. My father's retired Delaware State Police. He retired in '78. He passed away a little over a year ago. He raised me with the proper training, and that's what has given me the to go on and give that proper training and pass that knowledge and information on. I don't want to see that stopped. I want people to be able to purchase the firearms, the weapons, the guns, whatever you want to label those, weapons of war. I don't agree with some of the labels, but they should have that opportunity to. She had mentioned how that the guns that I currently have, I will not lose them. Suppose I want to add to those. How do I do that? How is that, just because I have a certain gun that could be deemed a weapon of war, and how do I replace that if I already have that? Where does that end? There was a comment made that we are trying to protect these guns. No, we are not trying to protect these guns. We are trying to protect the rights of the people to have these guns.
Okay, I move that the witness be excused unless anybody has any questions.
No questions? Thank you, sir. You are excused. Thank
You for
you.
having me.
Yes. Mhm.
I do have a couple of questions for the sponsor, if I may.
Yes, you may. Go ahead, Senator Hawker.
Where did this list of firearms in your bill come from?
So this list came from the piece of legislation that passed Maryland.
Senator Hawker, you got your answer there. Any other questions?
I have another question.
Okay.
Did you do any research about the frequency with which these firearms have been used in criminal activity here in Delaware?
Did I personally
report?
do the research?
Do you know how many times they have been used for criminal activity here in Delaware?
I do not.
The guns on that list?
I do not, but I'd be happy to get you a,
0. I've got that.
and may I ask where you got those statistics from?
I don't have it with me.
Well, that would be very helpful, Senator Hawker,
Okay.
because if we're going to talk statistics, I do think it's important that we are able to make sure that we can quote where they came from, please.
Do you own any of the firearms that are on that list?
I absolutely.
That is a question you do not have to answer. As the chair here, nobody has to share what they have in their personal.
So you are familiar with the shooting and how they shoot and that they are used in recreation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Senator Hawker, though, before you sit, I would like to just comment if that's okay. So you talked about how these folks became criminals, and I just want to make sure that we are clear. In the state of Delaware, we have been so fortunate that we have not had a mass shooting. We should all be thankful. We all represent schools. We all represent businesses. We all represent movie theaters. We all represent grocery stores. It's happened around us. So we should be thankful. So let's go back to the layering effect. We're not standing here today to say we are banning, we are taking from, we are doing any of those things. What we are doing is putting a pause in the sales of these weapons of war. And the reality is that we are complementing that by making sure that we have passed legislation or passing legislation that will help us with the mental health issue, that we will make sure that someone who is taking that second guess, earlier today, we had counselors standing in front of us who talked about all of the difficulties that the kids are facing in school. And so we are funding that. Senator Lawson, you've been a huge advocate for school safety. And you know what? We met some of those needs, not necessarily maybe in your particular piece of legislation, but Representative Jakes passed pieces of legislation that said that any future schools would be built with safety provisions to prevent a shooter. And you know what? We are talking about it in bond. We are talking about how we can do that layering effect for our schools today to add extra security measures. I have to say to you, sir, that whoever left that door open, because I've heard different stories about that, because I know the investigation is not complete, but if that door was left open, I can assure you the last few weeks of school, everything was on lockdown in Delaware, and it should be. But you know what, though? People are human. People make mistakes. And unfortunately, it cost the lives of 19 children. And 19 parents had to try and identify their children, and they couldn't. They identified them by sneakers. That is not what we need in the state of Delaware. So by all means, if you are a responsible gun owner and you currently own these, keep them. If your love is to go to a firing range, go. There's nothing saying that you shouldn't do that, but we are putting a pause in the sales of these weapons for the next generation or two, and hopefully we won't ever see a mass shooting in Delaware.
Senator Huckrow?
Madam President, I'm not so sure we won't see mass shootings in Delaware. In just 2019 alone, all the gun arrests in the state of Delaware, I read that there was 71% of those charges either dropped or negotiated down. Now I understand it's way more than that because if one guy had 4 or 5 charges, they counted as one. I understand it's over 80%. What's going to help crime and stop mass shootings is prosecute every one of those to the fullest of the law and see that they're not back up on the streets like we saw in the shooting in Texas.
And Senator Hocker, I hear you clearly, but we are the legislative branch. Our job is to write the laws. We are not the judicial branch that handles that. And that is certainly a conversation that we can have after this.
And we wrote the laws that was negotiated down or plea bargain down also. And so what good is it passing those laws? What we're doing with this legislation is punishing good law-abiding citizens, and the crime is still going to continue. Thanks.
Yep. Senator Poor of your bill, ma'am? Oh, I'm so sorry, Senator Pettyjohn. I've seen you so much
There's two sides to the room here.
I've seen you so much today, I no
waited.
longer see you. How about that?
Madam President,
Senator
we can't let her off that easy today. I know. You know, we're going to have a robust discussion on this, and it's something that I look forward to, and it's something that I intend on doing very respectfully to the sponsor, very respectfully to the advocates who are supporting this bill. But at the same time, we need to make sure the other voices are heard and questions, legitimate questions, are answered. So in that vein, I do have a couple questions for you. First, the amendment that was added to the House by Representative Longhurst, there's some concern that that dramatically expands the scope of the guns that are going to be banned, or that aren't going to be able to be sold here in Delaware. A lot of commonly used, even more so than the scary gun that a lot of people see, the AR-15, but shotguns that have a telescoping stock, some other semi-automatic shotguns that a lot of people use, and especially a lot of, as was testified before, a lot of women use for self-defense. What went into that additional amendment that really curtailed a lot of firearms that are in common use here in Delaware?
The loopholes in Maryland.
Okay. Specifically?
That you had copycats being made.
Senator Pettyjohn?
Thank you, Madam President. I don't think that a shotgun, semi-automatic shotgun, let me find it here again, I need my glasses, with a folding or telescoping stock is something that would be considered a copycat weapon. These are things that have been around for a long time. I had one of these when I was young and started hunting. So I'm not sure what you mean by a loophole for something that's been around, for at least 30 years.
Sure.
Probably longer.
Well, if it's okay with you,
Yes,
Madam
Senator
President, Madam President, I would ask for special privilege of virtual, please, to have Sam Levy from Everytown.
Okay, great. And I believe Senator Lockman may have had her hand up earlier. I don't know if she still does either. We'll come to her in a moment if so. Personal privilege granted if we can find the individual for us. Are we here? Sam. Okay, good evening. Sam, if you will kindly unmute. I don't know if we can see you. If you can speak, identify yourself and the organization for which you represent.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we sure can.
All right. Thank you so much. My name is Samuel Levy. I'm senior counsel at Everytown for Gun Safety, and I'm happy to assist with the question if you'd like.
Yes, so we can repeat and clarify the question. You have Senator Pettyjohn,
Yes.
please, sir.
Thank you, Madam President. Specifically, we're talking about would have been House Amendment 1 to House Bill 450. When it talks about semi-automatic shotguns and the definitions around semi-automatic shotguns that, quite frankly, encompass most of the semi-automatic shotguns that are in production, especially since we're only looking at a one-part test on this.
Well, to my knowledge, folding stocks are not a standard feature on semi-automatic shotguns. I mean, these are guns that are designed to be concealable. That's why they're added to this list, right? To be able to conceal a shotgun and use it to do harm is a reason it's identified. The tests that are included here under the copycat weapon standard would leave vast majority of weapons that are used for home defense, sport, or hunting, or anything else saleable in the state of Delaware. They would be identifying and targeting exclusively the weapons that, as described, have been designed for use on the battlefield that are either massively destructive, as we saw in Uvalde, or in the case of a folding stock shotgun, concealable. So again, there would be ample opportunities for anyone in the state of Delaware, man, woman, or otherwise, to defend themselves with semi-automatic shotguns of their choosing, just not street sweepers and ones that can be concealed under a jacket.
Senator Pettyjohn.
Thank you, Madam President. And a couple of points to some of the things you just said. Folding stock does not mean somebody's going to conceal it. You have individuals that have a disability. You have individuals who may be younger that cannot handle a shotgun with a fixed stock, that they need it shorter in order to be able to effectively use that for self-defense. Also, you're saying that these are military weapons were made for the battlefield. What kind of semi-automatic weapons are used on a battlefield? These are semi-automatic. One pull of the trigger, you can hold it all day long, and one round goes out. I'm not sure of any army on the face of the earth that would have that as one of the weapons that they gave to their soldiers on the battlefield in order to advance their cause.
Well, respectfully, the difference is the switch, right? If you flip that switch to full auto on a military grade weapon, absolutely, pull the trigger and empty the magazine. If you flip it to semi and it's saleable on the street, those same rounds are inflicting the same damage, exploding bodies, leaving them unrecognizable. The difference is you have to, repeat with the trigger.
Are you aware that they are not legal in Delaware?
No machine gun is legal in Delaware in the
That's
U.S.
correct.
I'm saying they're the exact same weapon, firing the exact same round at the exact same velocity. The only difference is whether you have to release the trigger and pull it again.
That is correct. So these are not weapons from the battlefield.
Oh, pardon me.
Absolutely not.
Weapons designed for the battlefield, modified to not be fully automatically fireable, because that's illegal under federal law.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say there's a delay here. We're kind of cutting off him and you were cutting off each other. So
We'll just give a little bit of pause
yes, a breath.
between the breaths there.
Breath.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think I have, if you have any more questions for this witness.
Senator Benini of the witness, sir.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Madam President. I apologize. I didn't hear what organization he's with. And if I could hear what organization the witness, I apologize, I didn't hear it. What organization you're with and what is that organization?
We'll let him explain. Go ahead, sir. It's Everytown Proceed.
Thank you, Ann. Just Everytown for Gun Safety. We're America's largest gun violence prevention organization. We have, I'm here proudly representing many Delaware members of our Moms Demand Action chapter. And it's our pleasure to work with advocates in Delaware and across the country to advance gun violence prevention legislation like this.
Okay, so it's the
advocates such as Moms Demand Action.
Right. So this is a nonprofit that is anti-gun. I guess that's from my perspective.
I think safe.
Right.
Anti-gun violence, if you're asking.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know. So this is just an advocacy group. Okay. Thanks very much.
Okay. Senator Townsend, then Lawson, then Poor. Senator Townsend.
I was going to say, I'm glad that Senator Benny's charm is equally communicable through virtual witnesses as well.
Senator Lawson. Oh my gosh, I'm calling Lawson Wilson and Wilson Lawson.
Excuse the witness.
Yes.
You'd like to have your witness excused?
I would like to have my witness excused.
Thank you,
I just
sir.
wasn't sure if anybody had any other questions for him.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Senator Lawson.
Thank you, ma'am. I do have some questions for the sponsor.
Proceed.
What is the definition of an assault weapon?
So what I'm going to do is I am going to ask for a special privilege of the floor and ask for Karen Lance to join us.
Personal privilege granted. Good evening. And if you will kindly identify yourself, ma'am, and title and role.
Good evening. My name is Karen Lance, and I am an attorney for the House of Representatives on loan tonight to the other chamber.
Thank you. Did you hear the question?
Yes, Senator, you asked, what is the definition of an assault weapon?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm assuming that you're asking for purposes of this legislation and not more generally in our culture.
I would imagine they would be used in the same vein.
So
Before us, we have the bill before us. So ma'am, if you prefer, I mean, we are on
It's
the
on the
bill.
bill.
I was just going to say, I'm happy to direct you in the legislation itself to where the definition is in the legislation. A assault long gun is defined beginning at line 52, and it has a list of named firearms and includes a copy regardless of the producer or manufacturer of those various firearms. There's a definition of assault pistol that begins at line 98, and it includes a copy regardless of the producer or manufacturer of any of those weapons. And then at line 118, it says that an assault weapon means any of the following: an assault long gun, an assault pistol, or a copycat weapon. And then there's a definition of copycat weapon that actually was replaced by House Amendment 1. So you have to look at House Amendment 1 for the definition of copycat weapon.
All right. I see the examples, but I don't see a definition. I didn't hear a definition.
Well, the best I can tell you, Senator, is that an assault weapon means any of the following, and then it's those three things that I just read to you. I'm happy to read out the copycat definition as well, if that's helpful.
Well, there's a difference between the examples shown and what the definition is. The definition by Britannica Dictionary is simply a military firearm that is chambered for ammunition of reduced size or propellant charge that has the capacity to switch between semi-automatic and fully automatic. That's a definition. That's not an example. None of the guns listed here have that capability. These are not military style firearms. They're not weapons of war. These are firearms that have been manufactured for the sporting or self-defense community, not for military, not for, as one gentleman just said, and even the sponsor, to blow people apart. They do not do that. Can they cause some massive injury? Sure they can. They're high speed. But that is not what's in the bill. Is not a definition. It's an example, and none of them meet the example in the dictionaries or the definition of examples that the examples show.
Do you wish me to respond, Senator?
Sure.
Okay. So respectfully, I do understand that some people take issue with whether you say assault weapon, assault style weapon. The question that I am answering is for purposes of a law that we're going to pass in the state of Delaware, those who are charged with enforcing the law will look to what is written here in the statute. They won't look to the dictionary. They will look to the statute, which lays out examples and lays out lists of characteristics so that law enforcement officers and the prosecutors who have to bring any cases that fall within this statute will know exactly what is prohibited. That is the purpose of this statute. As to the origins or the popular definition of assault weapons, that's a separate matter.
But do you agree in the bill we use the term assault weapon when in fact it doesn't match the definition? It can match up to the examples. And how many years do you have in law enforcement?
I was a prosecutor for a couple of years, sir.
Okay, 27 years in law enforcement here. I appreciate that. So we have worked on the same side. So you can't, I don't think that anyone is going to go forward and not know what they're talking about when they say an assault weapon. Okay, it says it in the law, but it doesn't have any footing. It doesn't have any background. It doesn't have any basis for that term. It is a popular term coined by the anti-gun community. It's not a definition in this bill anywhere. It's an example. Would you agree?
I agree that the definition that you read out of the dictionary is different than the definition that I read to you from the statute. As to how the term came about or how it was popularized, I'm not really qualified to speak to that.
Okay. Do you have the bill in front of you?
I do, sir.
Will you take the very first one on the list?
Okay.
Tell me how it is an assault weapon. What makes it an assault weapon?
So I am not an expert on the hardware itself. If you would like to speak to someone about the characteristics of the weapon itself,
that's fine.
you need a different witness.
Madam President?
Yes, Senator Poor.
So Senator Lawson, if you are looking for specifics, I can call another witness, but Karen would not be your witness.
I got that. I heard it. It's good. I have other questions, if that's all right.
Of this witness or a different witness?
Of this witness.
Okay.
Let's go to prosecution. You're a prosecutor. Someone brings in a firearm that is a copycat. Explain that to me, that term.
So if I wanted to, are you saying if I were a prosecutor, how would I determine?
Ma'am, I don't think
Yes.
he needs to view as a prosecutor. We want to stay germane to the bill, which is the copycat part of the bill. So we stayed germane to the bill, his definition. I think the latter part of his comment was very relevant when he said, how would you approach whatever it was you said, Senator, to the copycat part?
What would you define as a copycat?
So I would look to House Amendment 1. And I don't know if you want me to read it into the record or if you want me to just say that House Amendment 1 lists a semi-automatic centerfire rifle that can accept a detachable magazine and has at least one of the following, and it has a list of characteristics that Senator Poor, I think, referenced in her opening comments. It also references a semi-automatic centerfire rifle with an overall length of less than 30 inches, a semi-automatic pistol that can accept a detachable magazine, and it has at least one of the following. There are 4 different characteristics listed there. A semi-automatic shotgun that has both of the following, and then there are 2 characteristics. A semi-automatic shotgun that has the ability to accept a detachable magazine, a shotgun with a revolving cylinder, a semi-automatic pistol with a fixed magazine that can accept more than 17 rounds, and a semi-automatic centerfire rifle that has a fixed magazine that can accept more than 17 rounds. So to determine if it was a copycat weapon, I would go down this list and determine if it met any of these criteria.
So in short, it's a look-alike. It has certain characteristics.
That is correct, sir.
All right, thank you. I have no further questions for this witness.
Senator Poor?
Thank you. May the witness be excused. Senator,
This is excused. Thank you, ma'am.
would you like your previous question answered?
Not right now. We'll get back to that.
Okay.
I have a question for the sponsor, if I may.
Yes, Senator Lawson?
You mentioned in your opening statement about law enforcement being exempt and having these firearms. Is that on duty, off duty, what?
So I believe that it's, even if they're heading home, yes, that they can carry these weapons.
So in their homes, back and forth to work.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
So they are exempt totally according to the bill. Is that
Yes, sir.
correct?
But let me ask for a special privilege of the floor and have Karen Lance come back up, please.
You'll say one more time who you
I want
are.
to make sure that you have all correct information, Senator.
Yes, state your name and she can repeat the question if you didn't hear it.
Karen Lance, House Attorney, and would you mind repeating the question, please?
Law enforcement, she mentioned in her opening statement that they are exempt as far as they're allowed to have these firearms. Is that only on duty? Is it off duty in their homes, back and forth to work? What?
So I would refer you again to the text of the statute. It appears at line
157.
Somebody's helping me from the side. Yeah, there we go. Line 153, this section does not apply to any of the following. The following individuals if acting within the scope of official business, and that does include a law enforcement officer. There is another separate exception that begins at line 175 to allow qualified retired law enforcement officers in certain circumstances.
Well, you're a mind reader. That was my next question. Thank you. I don't think I have anything else for you, but I do have
Okay.
other questions.
May the witness be
Be ready to
excused.
jump up
We'll
again.
have,
Thank you.
we have you excused, just don't go far. Senator Lawson, you have a question?
Yes, and sponsor. In the bill, it says a firearm that is no longer or no shorter than 30 inches in the amendment, correct?
Yes.
If it's a folding stock, is that with the stock out or folded?
So Madam President, at this time, I ask for Sam from Everytown to join us.
Okay. Sam, if you will come back, hopefully he did not permanently excuse himself.
I'm still here. Hi,
All
everyone.
right. We're glad. If you could say your name and an organization again, and then we can repeat the question if you didn't hear it. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I heard it. Thank you, ma'am. Sam Levy, Everytown for gun safety. The measurement would be from the tip of the stock unfolded, assuming it had a folding stock to the end of the barrel.
From the end of the folding stock, folded stock? In other words,
A fully extent, assuming it had a folding stock. In your example, if it was unfolded and prepared, ready to fire, it would be from tip to tip.
so if the stock was folded, it will be illegal if it was
No,
over 30 inches?
that's literally the opposite of what I just said. When it is unfolded and ready to be fired, that would be the measurement.
You better run that one by me again. I missed something there.
So you asked the question and said, what if it has a folding stock, right? The stock can be folded over onto the side of the weapon. I'm telling you that the measurement contemplates with such a weapon, you'd unfold the stock. So the weapon is in a condition to be fired. And then you would take your measurement from the end of the stock to the tip of the barrel.
So with it folded, it's under 30 inches, it would be illegal?
No, you seem to have not followed
All right,
that
that's
explanation
what
at
I'm
all.
trying to
But I'm
clear
happy to go through it again if you like.
No, just.
I think it's how the question maybe was asked and how it's being heard. This is the less ideal of Zoom. So let's put it in a little more plain speak. Can you more
Sure, so-
directly ask your
All right,
question?
let's go
Let the
gun
senator
talk.
ask the question one more time simply. Go ahead.
I have a shotgun. It has a collapsible or folding stock. When the stock is folded, it's not extended. Does it meet the criteria or have to meet that 30 inches? Or is it after the stock is unfolded? What are you measuring? With the fully extended stock or with the stock collapsed or folded?
So if that semi-automatic shotgun has a folding stock of any kind, the measurement is irrelevant. It's a copycat weapon and it is prohibited. It would be an assault weapon under the definition in this bill. If it's a rifle that has a folding stock, the relevant measurement would be when the stock is unfolded, fully extended, measurement from the end of the stock to the end of the barrel.
So you're saying a shotgun with a folding stock is illegal now?
Semi-automatic, yes, sir.
But I
Pump
thought,
actions, you can get it. Pump actions, you can get as many as you want.
say again?
What did you say, sir? It's a little hard. I think if you go a
Oh, I'm
little
sorry.
slower. Yeah, go a little
Oh, I'm so
slower.
sorry. So a copycat weapon I'm on line 126 of the bill defines a copycat weapon in the case of a semi-automatic shotgun with a folding stock. That's line 133. So a semi-automatic shotgun that is a non-manual action, one that reloads after you fire, if it has a folding stock, would be an assault weapon. You can continue buying shotguns with folding stocks so long as they were manual action and not semi-automatic. Those would not be impacted by this bill.
While you're talking,
Yep. Senator.
Point of order. He's referencing the bill as
And-
unamended.
Yes,
Oh,
Senator.
my apologies. I apologize. I'm looking at an older draft.
Yes,
If you
Senator
have the amendment, Senator Poor.
Madam President, Senator Pettyjohn, you're correct. He needs to be referencing the amendment.
The amendment. If you look at the amendment, if you look at, for example, lines 10 and 11, you will see a semi-automatic center fire rifle, the overall length of less than 30 inches. If you look at that section, sir.
My apologies. Let me just pull it up. I was
Yep,
looking at an
one
older.
moment. I think that's where the confusion lies.
My apologies.
Do you have it, sir, in front of you? We'll give you a moment.
I'm at the SIT website now. I'm trying to make sure I pull it up.
Okay.
Let's see.
We'll give you a minute.
Sorry, bear with me.
So you should be looking at House Amendment 1 to House Bill 450 if you have
Yes,
that.
I have it. Yes, I do.
Okay, and if you go down, I believe to the midway down.
Oh. Sorry, just a moment. My apologies. Okay, I think I have it.
Okay. Do you need him to repeat his question?
Sure, if I was referring to the wrong line, please do.
Yes. So Senator Lawson, let's rewind. Go ahead.
So a shotgun with a folding stock would be illegal, a semi-automatic shotgun.
Let me just pull it up there, Senator. Forgive me just a second.
Yes.
And I'm on, let's see, a semi-automatic centerfire rifle, a semi-automatic. Which line were you on, Senator? Senator, line 10, was it?
I think he's on 10. Am I correct, Senator?
No, I'm
Yeah,
looking
so
at
that's-
18, line 18.
18.
Oh.
18.
A semi-automatic shotgun that has both of the following: a folding or telestopping stock, and any grip of the weapon, thumb, sole, hog, or other stock, which would allow them to, it's basically a secondary grip. So my apologies. I was looking at the original bill. My apologies, Senator.
So what's your answer?
So you would have to have both of those features on a semi-automatic shotgun.
So a shotgun,
both,
a semi-automatic shotgun with a collapsible stock, as long as
Yep.
it's 30 inches or more, is not an issue. Is that correct?
No, I'm sorry. You're conflating two different parts of the definition. So the 30 inches measurement is germane only to rifles, not to shotguns. So now I'm on line 10 of the amendment.
Okay.
If you take a look there, semi-automatic centerfire rifle, overall length of less than 30 inches. So overall meaning even if that rifle had a folding or telescoping stock.
Let's just stay to shotguns. I haven't even mentioned
Sure.
rifles.
Okay. Well, you mentioned the inches measurement. It's only applicable to rifles. So that's why I went there.
So I think there is your answer, Senator. If you say that one more time, there is not the inch definition with the shotgun versus the rifle. Am I correct?
Yeah, there is no inch, part of the definition with respect to the copycat weapons, shotguns. The shotgun definition is contained entirely in lines 18 to 22, and it doesn't mention overall length. It has to be both of those features as listed in the amendment.
So any length shotgun is legal.
Unless the shotgun is a semi-automatic shotgun that has both a folding and telescoping stock and a secondary grip.
Don't read into the question. It's a simple question. Is a semi-automatic shotgun, regardless of length, legal according to this bill?
It is legal unless it has both a telescoping stock.
That wasn't the question. Stay to the question. I asked you a simple question, straight up. Any semi-automatic shotgun, as long as it has semi-automatic shotgun with a folding stock, is it illegal?
No.
Okay.
If it has just a folding stock, no. It would have to have a folding stock and a secondary grip to be illegal under this bill as amended.
Thank you. Let's look at the list. Number CC, Mossberg 500 bull pump, or bull pup rather.
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with that firearm?
Not especially, no.
Do you know that that's a pump action shotgun?
I do, but these are weapons that were identified again because of their combinations of features, lethality, and high capacity. So you can take any and all of the guns on this list. You had a question earlier on about, one of the ones near the Spectre again, it's because they have, and there's a lot of guns on this list, and Senator, you are far more familiar with them and their operation than I ever purport to be, but they are on this list because they have some combinations of feature and functionality that make them especially lethal, and that is why they are being regulated under this bill.
It's a pump action shotgun. It meets even the rifle requirement for length. What are the attributes that make it illegal?
Let's take a look. It's got a secondary grip. So again, it can be fired with greater accuracy. And again, it is the action on the gun. Again, these are all questions of feature and functionality, right? The guns that are listed here because they are especially lethal, because they were designed in their military iteration or here in their civilian resale to be maximally destructive. And they should be regulated, as such. And frankly, they leave open the definitions in this bill, leaving aside the list, leave open and leave saleable the vast majority of firearms, semi-automatic and otherwise, on the market, and ample opportunity to use firearms for self-defense, hunting, sport, or anything else you wish to.
No, I'm not sure what you said there, but okay. A pump action shotgun on this list that is not used for any type of military, any time that I've ever been around a military. I'm a Vietnam combat veteran, for your information. Also, many years in law enforcement. I never saw a law enforcement agency nor a military agency carry such a firearm. For that to be listed, does that really fit the definition or what we're trying to do with this bill? And why?
I spent time in law enforcement too, Senator, and I thank you for your service. And I think we care very deeply about the issue here, right? I understand your desire to craft a law that makes sense, and I assure you, I share that same interest. The point here is that there are classes of weapons that are sold and designed to be maximally lethal, right? They are meant, whether they were designed for initial use in combat or designed by their makers to be more concealable, to be higher power, to fire with rounds with greater force and velocity, to fire larger numbers of rounds. That's the factor here. The issue here is trying to prevent the use of these weapons that create more carnage and death and have no legitimate use. They can be used for sport and fun, I suppose, but come at the cost of the lives of children, as we saw in Uvalde, and that even when regulated, leave open and totally untouched the vast majority of the most popular and saleable firearms on the market, including semi-automatic rifles and shotguns, just not the ones that are concealable, as in this bill, or have a forward grip, or have other characteristics that make them just more lethal and more deadly when used with that intent.
What makes a gun more lethal? Is a 12 gauge a 12 gauge, regardless of the design?
A semi-automatic centerfire rifle is more lethal because it fires around with greater force, right?
What?
A centerfire semi-automatic rifle is more deadly. It fires around with greater force and velocity. When it strikes something, it's going to cause greater damage. When we use terms like explode with respect to victims of these horrific crimes, like children, that's the term. That's what makes it more lethal than a rimfire shotgun, for example, or rimfire rifle, for example.
Let's talk about a 12 gauge shotgun. In what style is it more lethal than any other style?
If it's a semi-automatic shotgun with a 12 round barrel, for example, or a 12 round magazine that can be shot over and over and over again, that is more lethal than one that you have to reload after you discharge it.
The round is a lethality. The firearm is not. Where are you getting that definition?
Well, again, if you look at some of the firearms that are on this list, Senator, they're shotguns that are equipped, for example, with large capacity magazines, essentially. So you can fire and fire and fire a greater number of rounds, causing a greater amount of damage on whatever it is you're shooting at.
Higher capacity rounds can cause more issue, but it doesn't make the round itself more lethal. There's a ballistic issue here that I think we're missing. You have a certain component, there's certain ballistics, there's certain lethality in each and every round. Not the number of rounds, but per round. So saying that, well, we're going to agree to disagree on that statement.
Okay.
So what makes a centerfire rifle in one design with a wooden stock with a 5-round magazine more lethal than a black, dastardly looking 223 with a 5-round magazine?
Again, Senator, I have no doubt from your years of service and your use and enjoyment of firearms that you are more technically expert in the minutia of this. What I'm telling you is the principle behind the bill, which is the combination of force and frequency of fire, right? Weapons that can be concealed, weapons that can be fired repeatedly without reloading, cause more harm and death. And the reason to key in on the weapons that are on this list and the copycat weapons is to ensure that those types of weapons that are designed to be maximally lethal are regulated appropriately. And frankly, the regulations in this legislation are circumspect and leave available the vast majority of guns that are sold today in the state of Delaware and across the country and would not be at all impacted by this legislation.
Say that last part again, please.
The definition in this bill, what would be an assault weapon in this bill, is a small fraction of the firearms that are saleable, that are sold, that are used for self-protection and sport shooting and hunting in Delaware and across the country. It is a small subset of firearms that are designed to be especially lethal because of the rounds they fire, because of how many rounds they fire, because of how easily concealable they are, how stable they are, and how they can be held by a shooter. That's the issue that we're getting at here.
So you're telling me that that's listed in here are pretty much in caliber 223. Are they more lethal than a 308?
Senator, again, I defer to you completely on your understanding of how those calibers differ in terms of their muzzle velocity. It's not frankly a point that's germane to the bill. The issue is the combinations of features that are present in those models that are named on this bill and the features that would qualify a gun as a copycat weapon under the definition in the bill, taken together, are that the gun is itself highly lethal and is capable of doing so much damage that it warrants a special regulation of this type to make sure that it is not commercially saleable and not to be purchased or possessed by anyone outside of law enforcement or the folks who have it now and can legally register it with the state. Going forward, it should not be saleable in Delaware. That's literally all this bill would do.
Tell me what adds to the lethality as far as a flash suppressor goes. How does that make the gun more lethal?
Being able to steady the barrel with your hand and not get burned in some instances. But again, I defer to you entirely on the technical specifics. I'm here to stand for the general proposition and happy to connect you with people who know more than I do about, the caliber differences and the combination of features. I just want to make clear that what it is the aims of this bill are.
Well, you were brought up as an expert on this, and I'm trying to get answers. If I need to get someone else, maybe we need to do that.
I'm happy to follow up with you, Senator. Respectfully,
Gentlemen, if we can, for a moment, I think we're like over talking each other a little bit. Senator, in due respect, do you feel like you have the majority of your questions answered? I mean, I'm not sure you will. I know our witness has answered those to his best.
I still have more questions about the features
of the witness or with Senator?
Of the witness.
Okay, go ahead, sir, then.
Thank you. Let's go back to the flash suppressor. You said you don't know anything about that. What about the pistol grip that makes the firearm more lethal?
So if you can steady a shotgun by holding it not just with the stock against your shoulder, but with a forward pistol grip, it's going to make it more accurate. It's going to make it more stable. It's going to allow you to continue firing. Again, speaking not as a technical expert, but a policy expert on firearms who knows a little bit about how they work. And I'll say now, it would be my pleasure, Senator, to connect you with colleagues of mine who know far more about the topic and help give you more contour on any of these specific features of their combinations.
Does the bill refer to a forward versus a standard pistol grip?
Let's see. Refers to pistol grips in that semi-auto shotgun definition we talked about in the amendment. Other kinds of grips are covered there. You can take a look there and see what's reached.
I just see pistol grip. I didn't see anything about forward or receiver or stock.
So I'm on line 20 in the amendment, Senator. Any grip of the weapon, so this is under the definition of what kinds of semi-automatic shotguns could qualify as copycat weapons. So it would have to have both a folding or telescoping stock and any grip of the weapon, including, I'm reading from the amendment now, any grip of the weapon, including a pistol grip, thumbhole stock, or any other stock, the use of which would allow an individual to grip the weapon, resulting in any finger on the trigger hand in addition to the trigger finger being directly below any portion of the action of the weapon when firing.
So you are just reading the bill. You don't have any expertise in this. Is that correct? Is that what I'm getting?
If that's what you're getting, Senator, that's what you're getting, but nothing I can do about that.
All right, thank you. I have no further questions for this witness.
Senator Poor.
May the witness be excused.
Thank you, sir. You're excused for now. Don't go far. Senator Poor.
I have some more questions of.
Oh, I'm sorry, Senator Lawson. I thought you were done, Senator Lawson.
Give me a second, please.
Senator Townsend, you had risen, sir, earlier. I didn't know if there's something procedural. Go ahead, sir.
No, I just actually want to make a quick statement in part in response to some of the questions that were being asked, and just note that this list having been adopted from Maryland, part of the motivation for that was that it was a list of firearms, and to the witness's point, the characteristics of which relate to certain issues of lethality that the Circuit Court of Appeals for the circuit in which Maryland is located found to not violate the Constitution. So there's a tremendous good faith reason to adopt this list. A sister state having done so, and a U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals having found that it did not violate the U.S. Constitution. I think it's a very important point to make, especially rather than go down every single item on that list. I also do want to note that for those who have not read that Circuit Court opinion and the District Court opinion below it, I would encourage you to, because that court opinion and other court opinions around our country have talked in great detail about the difference between fully automatic and semi-automatic. And I understand Senator Pajon's and others' comments about that issue, but if you read and understand the rate of discharge of even a semi-automatic firearm, not even on a burst mode, if it's an automatic, fully automatic burst or semi-automatic, just purely semi-automatic, the difference between semi-automatic and fully automatic in the context of a school or a movie theater or a shopping center is so negligible. The difference is so negligible. The lethality is still so high. And that is the reason why even a semi-automatic rifle with features like this, detachable magazine, et cetera, is not only the weapon of choice, but also one that withstands scrutiny by courts as to why it's okay to prohibit it under the Constitution. So I just want to note, I appreciate the questions regarding fully automatic, semi-automatic. We didn't even get into burst. We didn't get into the issue that there are plenty of times on a battlefield where a semi-automatic function might be used, given the relative stability and targeting and accuracy compared to fully automatic. But courts, if you read these opinions, detail how lethal even a semi-automatic rifle can be. I just want to make that point. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you,
Please,
Senator Lawson.
if I may respond.
Yes, go ahead, Senator Lawson.
First of all, it's not the gun that's lethal. When we get this, it's like saying that the car's lethal and it has no gas in it. The gas makes the car lethal. The gun is not lethal, only the ammunition is. And the cyclic rate of a fully automatic firearm in a .223 is over 600 rounds per minute. I can't work that fast, can you? So I think the difference is huge. Now, each round has its own capability of being lethal. I agree. And as far as the impact of the round, the lethality of that, the terminal ballistics is the same whether it's full auto or not. Granted, more rounds can be dispatched in a full auto or semi than a pump. I agree with you there. But as far as the same cyclic rate, that is not true.
Senator Townsend.
Thank you, Madam President. Just to be clear, and I appreciate Senator Lawson's point on that, the courts talk about the amount of time it takes to empty a 30-round magazine using semi-automatic versus fully automatic. And my point is that the short amount of time at which it takes to empty a 30-round magazine is a lot lower than people might think. That is the reason why these specific kinds of firearms, when used in mass shootings, are particularly lethal. And we don't have to, we can agree to disagree with regard to whether to use that adjective on a firearm or the ammunition or the person or whatnot. But the point in terms of capacity to kill, a semi-automatic rifle with a detachable magazine can still be, that magazine can be emptied very, very quickly, far more than what I think the characterization earlier today on the floor here might indicate. So reading those court opinions they literally indicate the number of seconds it takes to empty those magazines. It's a lot lower than people might think.
Senator Lawson.
You were doing good till you said detachable magazine. What about a tube-fed magazine? Is it slower than a detachable magazine? Words are important, and this is very, very critical that we get this right. I'm not against this by any means if we can do it right, but this is not right. The bill is written by people that do not understand firearms. They do not understand terminal ballistics versus internal ballistics and external ballistics and terminal ballistics. What happens when the round strikes? That's what we're talking about lethality. That's
Senator
where
Moore.
I'm at here. Now,
I thought you were asking her a question. Ready to
No,
go.
statement.
Senator Lawson.
let's go to the certificate. When does this bill go into effect? I didn't see that anywhere.
At this time, I'll ask for special privilege of the floor and ask Karen Lance to come to the floor.
Evening, ma'am. You know the drill.
Karen Lance, House Attorney. Senator, the bill is effective upon signature.
Okay. Do you want me to ask her the questions then?
Sure. Go ahead, Senator.
The certificate is not available now, right?
I do not believe that the Department of Homeland Security is prepared to issue them right now before the bill is passed.
They don't
but
have the authority to issue them right now, do they?
That would
Because
be
the bill
correct,
hasn't
sir.
passed.
Yes.
So if someone owns a firearm that falls within the list, on the bill going into effect upon signature, are they now illegal to possess?
So the exception does not require them to have a certificate. What the bill requires to fall into an exception to the possession is that the person was in possession of that firearm before the enactment date or the effective date of this bill, which would be when it is signed. So if the person was in possession of that weapon prior to the effective date of this bill, then it is not illegal.
Mere possession or certified possession?
Any possession, but you need to have a way to prove it, which is why the sponsors are offering this method by which you can go and get a certificate that is a quick and easy way to show that you fall within the exception.
So what do I have to show to get the certificate?
So the Department of Safety and Homeland Security is charged in the bill at line, I'm sorry. Well, I thought they were charged with, yes, they are charged with making rules and procedures. I imagine that their rules and procedures will specify in detail what the person has to show. The statute just says they have to have proof that they lawfully possessed or had completed a purchase of the assault weapon before the effective date of the act.
So I'm a collector. I've been collecting for years. I don't have receipts for every firearm I have. Some were handed down to me. Some were gifted to me. I don't have receipts. What do I do now?
Well, Senator, I imagine that there are other ways that you could lawfully prove possession.
How?
So I don't know if you have any of your weapons insured, if they're listed on an insurance policy?
Blanket. It doesn't specifically
It doesn't
identify the
specify them.
firearms.
I mean, again, I'm sure that the Department of Safety and Homeland Security will have some other method, suggestions for how people can prove their prior possession.
Should we not have that mandated here?
So,
Senator Poor.
thank you, Madam President. Senator, you being a gun shop owner, I'm sure you,
Previous gun shop owner.
previous gun shop owner, you've done receipts. You certainly keep things on file. So there is that avenue. To Karen Lance's point, you can do it through insurances. It is your choice if you choose to get a certificate from Homeland Security and to be able to prove that you have it. So there are ways to be able to go about and do this.
So I went through an ATF check, a NICS check to prove the purchase. Do I have to go back to ATF and try and get them to retrieve the 4473? The dealership is gone or the records are no longer there? How do
So
I
then
do
that's
that?
why you would reflect back to Homeland Security to get the certificate if that's the case.
But how do I do that without the documentation?
So you're going to, at that point, the regulations are going to be designed by Homeland Security. And if you would like, I can remove, let.
I want
Karen
you to
Lance-
answer these. They're your bill. This is your bill.
No, Senator, I'll call a special witness. If you'd
Okay.
like the answer, that's what you're going to get.
Bring it.
Please excuse the witness and please bring Captain Andrew Lloyd to.
Thank you. The witness is excused. We can bring her back for another question. The sponsor has asked for the witness, Captain. Is he on Zoom or in person?
He should be on Zoom.
Okay, great. And I will remind, as all members here know, because you sit on JFC and others, that a lot of times our regulations are proliferated by the respective department and agency. So a lot of these regs will be coming forth once you codify the bill. Is he present? He is. Captain, good evening. Are you there? Unmute or come off Zoom.
Good evening. This is Captain Andrew Lloyd of the Delaware State Police.
Thank you for being with us this evening, sir. I don't know if you've been able to listen in. If you haven't, we are here. Our Senator Lawson, one of your fellow retired officers, had a question, I believe, for you. Go ahead, Senator Lawson.
Well, it's kind of an unfair question, Captain, in that you're not charged with doing this yet and the bill hasn't passed. But what do you perceive the proof will have to be when I want to get a certificate for a firearm that I have no records of purchase of?
Well, obviously, we're in the infancy stages of this, and as you stated, we have not produced policies and procedures for this as of yet. But it would be our intent to work within the spirit of the law and not overcomplicate the situation for citizens.
I understand that and I appreciate it because you're kind of caught in the middle here and that's not quite fair.
Point of order.
This bill is incomplete is my point. Go ahead.
That statement is not necessary, Senator.
Well,
we pass laws and we create regulations. You have passed laws and created regulations at the effective moment of the particular legislation. That is exactly what we're doing by offering, if you choose to go to get a certificate. You don't have to if you don't want to.
But I don't have proof that I purchased the firearm.
That is your choice. That is your choice.
So I can take a chance of becoming a felon?
That is your
Point of order
choice
for you
if
both.
that's what you wanted. If you do not want to get a certificate, you don't have a receipt, you don't want to go to your insurance company, you don't want to go back to your arms dealer, that's your choice.
So you're going to make me a felon who has been a law-abiding citizen?
No, I'm going to hopefully stop 19 more children from being blown away by an assault weapon.
None of my firearms has killed anyone. So how do you stop that? I didn't do any damage, and most of the people in here are legal firearms owners. So none of their firearms have committed any heinous crimes like this, and as you put it, blown people away. It hasn't happened.
Let's just get back to the bill here at hand and not who owns guns and who's not. Senator Townsend.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll just note that over the years, frankly, we've always been a little bit flexible with the Senate rules that say that you're not really supposed to address one another directly, which is a very big difference between the House and the Senate. So given that the night is young, I would just maybe ask that we as senators and perhaps Madam President, might want to bear in mind, perhaps we'll observe more strictly that rule and that each senator can address the.
Absolutely. I'll call
chair.
on each person.
All right, fair enough.
Okay. Senator Lawson.
Thank you. Do you see a problem with, ask questions of the witness or the sponsor?
Yes. So go ahead to Senator Poore. You would say, I have a question of the bill sponsor.
Senator Townsend, you have a problem, sir.
Madam President, just to be clear, I was referring to all 21 senators, not any individual senator. And what essentially is the proposal you're making is sort of open dialogue, which is really not what we typically do. There's been some flexibility, but obviously on this topic and on future topics, there's likely to be quite a bit of it. And I just want to note that perhaps there should, at this point, be essentially none of it. And I'll note on both sides, I think both of you are passionate in your positions. And so there was an equal exchange there. that might be a good time in that moment of equality now moving forward, not do any more of it, including asking the presiding officer for that privilege. So it's certainly on Madam President to make that decision, but I just wanted to note that perhaps just addressing the president and the world in general might be the sort of best way of proceeding on all sides, not just one senator, on all sides.
No, absolutely. And I think the intent is, right, because tonight we stole the majority of our agenda. So to perhaps have not having that open dialogue, but direct comment. So Senator Lawson, if you have a couple questions for Senator Poor, now would be the time to ask those.
Do I have to ask you or Senator Poole?
You rise, you've spoken to me, so you have questions of the bill sponsor, and I have given you that authority for you now, sir, to address the bill sponsor.
Thank you. Do you not see a problem with making legal firearms owners felons because there was no law or anything else that said that they must keep their records for their firearms?
Senator, I'm not making anyone a criminal. You have choices, just like that shooter who killed 19 children had the opportunity to make a choice before he pulled that trigger. You have options. You have ways to go to prove that you have ownership of the gun. And we're giving you an additional option by getting a certificate from the witness, which, Madam President, do you have more questions from Homeland Security?
No, it was unfair to put him in the middle.
Any other questions?
Sir, he was a special witness to the fact that he's answering your question in relation to us creating the certificate. May the witness be excused. Don't go too far, though,
Yeah, don't
please.
go far. The witness is excused. Okay, Senator Lawson, additional
Thank you.
comments?
So you are lumping,
Yeah, no, you asked.
I am
me.
being lumped in to a person who killed people just simply because I own a similar firearm. Why are we persecuting? Let's get right down to it. Why are we persecuting the law-abiding and let Hunter Biden run free?
Oh, sir.
Senator, please let's not grandstand, especially when we are talking about such a tough issue. Nowhere have I said that anybody will be a criminal. Nowhere have I said I would remove guns. And nowhere have I said or lumped you in with anyone.
Well, it certainly feels like we who are legal gun owners.
Well, sir, you are
further questions.
absolutely misrepresenting gun owners in the state of Delaware by making that comment.
Senator Poor?
Roll call.
Senator Patty John?
Thank you, Madam President. I have a question on the bill, specifically the amendment, Madam President, on line 18. Semi-automatic shotgun that has both of the following, and it goes ahead and says a folding or telescoping stock, and then 2, any grip, et cetera, et cetera. My question is, does it have to be element 1 and 1 or more of element number 2, or in element 2, if there are more than one instances in there where the shotgun passes that test, does that make that specific shotgun illegal?
Madam President, I ask for special privilege of the floor and have Sam Levy join us again.
Personal privilege given. Sam, if you are still with us from Everytown, and if not, I know we have Karen here as well.
I am. Thank you. So my understanding, Senator, is you would need.
If you don't mind
both
saying
those
your
things.
name again, because this is being
Oh,
recorded.
yes, my
Thank
apologies.
you.
Sorry, my apologies. Sam Levy from Everytown for Gun Safety. So you would need both things. 1, a folding or telescoping stock. That's the first thing. And the second is any grip that fits into that, and that would fit into that long sentence in 20 through 22. So any grip of the weapon, including the pistol grip, thumb hole stock, any other stock that allows you to have a secondary grip on the weapon. So 1, the telescoping or folding stock, and 2, that secondary grip.
Senator Patty John?
Thank you, Madam President. So just to clarify that if there are 2 elements that are in number 2, but it doesn't meet element number 1, then that doesn't pass the test and is not a semi-automatic shotgun that is covered under this legislation.
That's correct.
Senator Pettyjohn is the witness still?
Thank you. And I'm not sure if this is going to be of the witness, but I do have some more questions. Maybe I'll ask the questions, and if it's of the witness can answer. Otherwise, the bill sponsor can answer. Regarding the transport of one of these firearms, would it be legal under House Bill 450 as amended to transport one of the firearms out of state for, let's say, competition purposes, other lawful purposes, and then bring it back into the state of Delaware?
I know our bill sponsor can answer that. Senator Poor?
Senator, it is not unlawful as long as you have some proof that you own the gun.
Thank you, Madam President. And in regard to that, that would be that voluntary certificate of ownership or a receipt or a photo of you with the gun that's dated from 5 years ago or some other type of proof that you had that firearm previously. Am I correct in that?
I'm not quite sure what your final question was for that certificate. So you're saying?
No, some type of, Madam President, some type of proof that you owned that firearm. Why?
Senator Poor, or would you like your witness? Senator Poor?
So Senator Pettyjohn, I can call special privilege to have Karen Lance come up, but we'd have to excuse Sam. But I can generally say to you, as long as you have some type of proof, so you might have a receipt, you might have gone back to your arms dealer, had something that showed that you had purchased this gun 5 years ago. And then in the interim, if you choose, you can also get a certificate.
Okay, I don't think a witness is necessary for that.
And we still have the witness. Is there any other questions or comments for the witness?
I don't believe so.
Okay, please excuse the witness.
Thank you, Sam. Don't go far. Senator Pettyjohn, other questions?
Thank you. How about people right now that have ordered one of those firearms? It's being shipped, and as we know, Madam President, there's lots of issues with shipping right now still. Things are back ordered. There's no clear date as to when this is going to go into effect. The governor, if it's passed tonight, the governor could sign it tonight. The governor could sign it 5 weeks from now. There are many people that in anticipation of this bill being presented and possibly passed that have ordered those items and they ordered them, they paid for them prior to the enactment of this bill. What happens to those individuals and the products that they have ordered if they're still in transit?
At this time, I ask for special privilege and have Karen Lance join us.
Karen?
Let's get a workout.
Yes.
Not purchased.
Karen Lance, House Attorney. Senator, in answer to your question, the bill makes an exception for anyone who possesses a firearm prior to the effective date or has completed a purchase of the firearm. And there's a definition at line 122 of the bill of completed a purchase. It means that the purchaser completed an application, passed a background check, and has a receipt or purchase order for the assault weapon without regard to whether the purchaser has actual physical possession of the assault weapon. The limitation is that if receipt of the assault weapon will not occur until more than 1 year after the effective date of this act, it does not qualify as a completed purchase. So there is a grace period in there for the situation you've described.
Okay.
Senator Pettyjohn.
Thank you, Madam President. The question that I have then is, normally when a firearm is in transit, there's no serial number yet that's available to the FFL to do the background check. So the background check isn't actually completed until the firearm arrives at the FFL for them to run the background check at that point in time. So again, yes, the item's been paid for, it's been ordered, they may have a receipt, but the background check has not yet been done because the item is still somewhere between whatever state, let's say California and Delaware. And as we know, and as we've seen with a lot of our Amazon packages, things have been delayed here with various problems. So again, my question is, if all those criteria have not been yet met, what happens?
So if all of those steps I can't, let's be clear, I cannot actually speak to how an FFL conducts its business. That is not within my area of
I've got
expertise.
3 of them here, so.
What I can tell you is what's in the statute, that the completed a purchase requires that you have completed the application, passed a background check, and have a receipt or purchase order for the assault weapon without regard to whether the purchaser has actual physical possession of the assault weapon.
Right, Senator Townsend.
Thank you, Madam President. To the witness, obviously, I want to just confirm whether you think this language means that a FFL would not be able to do a background check prior to accepting payment and placing an order. Is there any reason why this legislation would say they cannot do that?
No. Senator Townsend.
Yeah, he was directing that at you. I know it's late. Okay, any other questions for the witness? If not,
No, Madam President.
okay, Senator, of your witness, she ran away. Karen, Senator Poor will excuse your witness.
Can I excuse my
Yeah,
witness?
she's ready. She's like running to the hills. Okay, Senator Pettyjohn, and then I don't know if Senator Bonini's just exercising, and then Senator Lawson, and then Senator Richardson. Okay. Senator Pettyjohn, then Lawson, then Richardson.
Madam President, I'd like to yield for a moment to Senator Lawson to speak on that process with the FFL, with filling out the form with the serial number. As many of you know, Senator Lawson was a longtime FFL, and I think he can speak as to what the timing of that would be, so that we can get that question answered accurately on the record.
Okay, and timing in relation to what part of the bill? I mean, what area?
Madam President, when a person orders
Okay,
a covered firearm under this, and the law would go into effect while that item was still in transit.
But Madam President,
Yes, Senator
if I just may, Senator Pettyjohn, I believe Karen Lance has already answered that question for you. She didn't answer the process of it, but she answered the question in regards to how the bill could be interpreted.
Madam President,
Yes.
I respectfully disagree. Unless you know the process and know the steps involved in the process, the serial number, and this is one of the things that I hope that my colleague is able to answer. When an item is ordered, the background check is not done until the item is received. The serial number of the item is at the FFL, and that process can continue. I think this is a very germane question regarding the probably many Delawareans who, in anticipation of this bill, in anticipation of the hearing today, have ordered these items, and they're in transit right now. So they paid money, they are expecting an item, and if it comes to them after this bill is enacted, what would happen to that?
and I don't know if Senator, no offense, I respect Senator Lawson greatly, but I don't know if he is the person to answer that, because that is a process that will be set up in the reg side through Homeland. Senator Townsend.
Thank you, Madam President. I guess I would say that I'm happy to obviously clear what Senator Lawson probably would testify to, which is to confirm what Senator Pettyjohn already said, which is that in many, if not all instances, a background check is not complete until after the firearm has reached the dealer. My point is that the law does not prohibit a background check from being conducted prior to that. I will say that I think an interesting policy question is that someone's willing to pay money, and that in fact a dealer is willing to accept money and place an order for a firearm, apparently that a background check hasn't been completed at all. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But the point would be that there's nothing from preventing those Delawareans from going in and completing the background check now. I don't see, in terms of the spirit of the law, we've already heard that from the attorney as to how the law reads. And if you were to complete a background check and have made the purchase and had that purchase order, I don't know with regard to the serial number, for example, I understand the ultimate sort of, proof of that specific firearm, but it seems that the legislation is not as targeted as that. And so the ability to have the protection in the legislation would be fulfilled as long as you have that purchase order and ostensibly a background check, which I will say from a policy perspective is interesting that this transaction can occur without you in a background check.
Right. And I think that's a lot for everybody listening in. The bottom line is I can, out of due respect for Senator Lawson, allow him to succinctly give his experience. It is not going to change anything that Senator Townsend has said, Senator Poor said.
It will, ma'am.
Vote, I don't think here. But you can proceed to say from your experience.
The process is the dealer gets the order. He takes a deposit on the firearm. He then orders it through his distributor. That distributor then orders it from the manufacturer. Once it comes into the distributor, it is then shipped on to the dealer. Once the dealer gets it, he has to put it in his A&D book, acquisition and disposition book. That transaction, that background check cannot be done until that information is entered into the 4473 so that the call-in can be made to NICS. So that transaction cannot be done until the gun is in possession, it's been put into the dealer's book, and now is in the process of being sold or moved out. And it can only be sold, cannot be transferred to the buyer until the government approves the sale, period. So it does make a difference.
Senator Pettyjohn.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to make sure that that was clear for the record. I mean, we deal in details here, and I think those details are important. Especially considering there are people that have paid that deposit that would have to get a restocking, pay a restocking fee if this goes into effect prior to them being able to complete. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear and that question was asked and answered before we went on, because it's actually a question that a constituent who's watching here tonight had just asked me. So my next line here, I'd actually like to call for a witness. I'd like to actually call for privilege of the floor for Mitch Denham.
Privilege granted, sir. Good evening. If you would identify yourself and if you're here representing anyone or yourself.
My name is Mitch Denham. I'm the president of Delaware Gun Rights. I also have an associate's degree in firearms technology and a gunsmithing background, that sort of thing.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Generally, aside from your qualifications that you just said, what's your experience with firearms of the type that this bill is looking to further regulate?
I've been shooting semi-automatic firearms since I was 4 or 5 years old.
Okay.
41, just for the record.
What are the general concerns that you have with this bill?
Well, there's a lot of broad brushstrokes. Like in the House amendment, it says any grip that has a finger below the action. I don't think it was the intent to ban firearms that didn't meet the criteria, but of the quote unquote assault weapon definition that is unclear. But it does ban things that don't necessarily fit what the purpose of the bill is just because it uses the term any grip. Every semi-automatic firearm has a grip with fingers other than the trigger below the action of the firearm. Every single one.
Okay. So in your everyday life, how you deal with firearms lawfully, how would this affect you? In what way would this bill affect you if enacted?
I shoot recreationally. I hunt. I do those things, and technology changes. Proof of that is different calibers occur, different types of ways of competing and hunting. This prevents those technologies from getting to the people. It prevents me from getting the newest and best way and most ethical way to call an animal from the herd for the purposes of hunting. 223, which is a common caliber for the AR-15, is used for varmint hunting all over the country. It's used for coyotes. It's used for small game, like prairie dogs, for example. It's used for that. But an AR-15 doesn't just come in that caliber. It comes in multiple calibers, some that are very large in diameter, like a 458 SOCOM, which is used in bear hunting. 50 Beowulf, which is used in bear hunting and hog hunting. And those are newer calibers that have come out. And I'm not going to be able to move forward with those new calibers because the brakes have been pumped right here. I'm not going to be able to ethically call an animal in a way that it prevents suffering and pain of that animal with new technology, because the technology stops here at this moment if this bill is passed.
Thank you. Any more questions? Any questions for the witness?
Senator Benini of the witness, sir?
Yes, thank you, Mitch. Welcome. So I apologize. I didn't really follow. So the language regarding the fingers and the grip, if I heard you correctly, we're basically outlawing all firearms?
We're outlawing semi-automatic firearms with a detachable magazine that have a grip of any kind. So, and words do matter in these situations. Sure. It says any grip. It doesn't say pistol grip. It doesn't say forward pistol grip. It says any grip. And the definition of any grip means that anything you can wrap your hand around and grip. So, it's a broad ban of anything with a magazine, detachable magazine that has a grip.
So, Madam President, if I may.
Yes, Senator.
And I assume that means an incredibly broad spectrum of firearms. And if I'm interpreting your concern, we may, I assume unintentionally, Senator Poor, we may be making illegal a broad spectrum of firearms that were not, clearly not the intention of the bill. Is that what that's what I got from your testimony?
Correct. There's a company called Browning. They make something called a BAR that's not the World War II weapon, but it's a hunting rifle that's common use. It has a detachable magazine and it looks just like every other quote unquote hunting rifle as you would picture them. And that would be a ban on that particular hunting rifle. And that is not the intention of this bill, I'm sure, but it is a consequence.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. No further questions.
Again, we don't have the attorney present. I just want to get clarification from myself. Again, I'm not a lawyer by any stretch of the imagination, but is this not the grip component limited to it's a semi-automatic shotgun, not a rifle? Am I interpreting this correctly? Could I have, perhaps, I don't want to sit this witness down, but that is something that needs to be explored, because that certainly changes the dialogue of our witness, that's all. So we will continue with your witness, but that might be a question for the next clarification, that's all.
Madam President, I think
Yes.
Senator Poor had a question.
Senator Poor of the witness.
I do. Sir, can you use a 223 for hunting in Delaware?
Yes, coyote.
Okay.
Madam President, if I may ask the witness another question. That platform that you see in the AR-15, did the General Assembly recently enact a law that allowed deer hunting for a specific cartridge that uses that platform?
Yeah, so straight wall pistol caliber rifles, there are several variations that are available in the AR-15. You have the 450 Bushmaster, which is a 45 caliber straight wall pistol cartridge. There's a 350 Legend, which is a 35 caliber, and 50 Beowulf is also available. And I believe there's a company that makes a 44 Magnum as well, which are all available rounds. And the 450 Bushmaster is probably the most common that is used by hunters in the state of Delaware in the AR platform.
If there are no further questions for the witness, I ask the witness be excused.
Okay, witness is excused.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Petty, and then I know we had others who had stood. Senator Poor?
Senator Pettyjohn, if it's okay with you, I'd like to ask for special privilege of the floor, have Karen come back up and answer your question, please, to what the wording is in the legislation.
Karen? Again, I am all due respect. I know we have some senators waiting, Lawson and Richardson. Again.
Karen Lance, House Attorney. So I, as I've articulated earlier, I cannot answer questions about the hardware itself. What I was call to clarify is that this language comes from the Connecticut assault weapons statute, which was upheld by the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. And I do not understand that it has been interpreted in Connecticut to outlaw all grips of any weapon as expansively as your witness has suggested.
All right, appreciate that.
That clarifies. No.
Senator Poor for your witness.
Senator Poor.
Madam President, can the witness be excused?
Yes. She's excused. Senator Betty John.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a couple more questions here. Actually, I kind of lost my train of thought on that.
We can go to the others waiting.
Yeah, let's
Go
do
to
that.
those. We can go to Lawson or Senator Richardson. They both kind of stood the same time. Senator Richardson? I think you guys
All
need
right,
some
a
more
question
cupcakes.
for the sponsor.
Senator Lawson, yes, of the sponsor. Go ahead, sir. Senator Lawson.
Looking at the physical note, there's quite a bit of money appropriated for technology of all kinds of computers and hardware and so on, vehicles. And these certificates are going to be issued by the Department of Homeland Security.
Yes, sir.
And it says in the bill that they will not keep any records of these. Once it's in the computer, it's easily retrievable. It is a record.
Madam President,
Senator Poor.
can I please ask for Captain Andrew Lloyd to special privilege of the floor? But as he gets on, Senator, our intent is to not keep a registry. Just as a former arms dealer, you also kept records for your sales.
We had to, we were mandated. I'm sorry.
I'm sure you would like me to finish and not cut me off.
Sure.
Okay, so you did keep them, sir, so you also kept a record. But needless to say, this legislation is not meant to create a registry. It is so that way you are not found to be a criminal if you own these particular weapons.
May I respond?
Yes, we will have you respond, and our witness is here when we are ready. Continue, Senator Lawson.
I kept records because the federal government said I must. When you fill out the 4473, according to ATF mandate, US government mandate, that form has to stay on premise in its original form for 20 years. Mandated. Also, there's a government mandate that says you cannot create a registry of firearms. Doing this because the Delaware State Police, back several years ago, kept records of the background checks they did through NICS. For over 7 years, they kept those records. Matter of fact, there was one Delaware State trooper that got an early retirement because of his lack of knowing what was going on. But it was in the computer and they could retrieve it. That's the exact same path we're going down here. That's my concern. I think that if we have it on I know everything is computerized, but it's also retrievable, and it does, in essence, set up a registry of these gun owners. Whether intended or not, it does that.
Senator Poor.
Madam President, Senator Lawson, once again, you are misguiding in this particular piece of legislation. And let me just say for the record then, as a former arms dealer, if you have records for 20 years, then you should be able to produce receipts for those folks that bought firearms, so they won't need a certificate.
May I respond?
Yes, Senator Lawson.
The trouble is, whenever you go out of business, all those records are turned in to the ATF. They are not retrievable from the dealer if they've been in business over 20 years. Or if they go out of business, all those records are now relinquished to the ATF, not retrievable from the ATF, upon individual request at least.
If we can hear, the witness is here now. Captain Lloyd, I believe you're here, sir. If you want to introduce yourself again, unmute.
Captain Andrew Lloyd, Delaware State Police.
Thank you, sir. I'm not sure if you heard the question or comment. We could have him repeat, please.
I believe that the question was about record retention.
Yes, sir.
It's not the intent of the Department of Safety and Homeland Security to retain any records. The intent to identify technology to develop a certificate that is printable and not able to be retained. Obviously, we're still in the infancy stages of identifying the technology, but that's the intent of the Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
Okay. Any other questions, Senator Lawson?
One comment.
Yes, sir.
The road to hell is paved by good intentions.
Okay. On that note, of the witness,
The road was paved when that young man went and bought 2 assault rifles and killed 19 kids and left them unidentifiable.
of the witness. Witness excused.
Roll call.
Well, we'll excuse the
Oh, sorry,
witness.
excuse the witness,
And then we have
sorry.
Senator Richardson, Senator Patty John. Senator Richardson.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to call a witness, but before that, I would like to make a statement regarding the what's been repeated over and over again about these 19 children that was lost. We all felt that in our hearts. I have 2 grandchildren about that age. And if someone came in and did anything to those grandchildren, I wouldn't run up and down the street trying to take the guns away from my neighbors, but I would try to do something to find that person and prosecute them to the full extent of the law if he could survive what I would do to him after I found him. But right now, I'd like to call a witness. I don't think this taking people's guns away, law-abiding citizens' guns away, is going to solve this problem.
Madam
We have
President,
Yes.
point of order. We are not taking anyone's guns away. So let's please make sure that we are clear with words because they mean a lot. We're not taking anyone's guns away. We are not banning any guns. We are discontinuing the sales of assault weapons. And if you currently have them, by all means, keep them. If you choose to go to a firing range, please do so. If you choose that you want to will them to your family members, please do so. But Senator Richardson, we are not taking anyone's guns away.
Senator Richardson, who is your witness, sir?
I'd like to call Sherry Long as a witness virtually.
Virtually? Okay, we'll see if she's here. Mrs. Long? Okay, welcome, Mrs. Long. I don't know if you've been here before with us. If not, identify yourself with your name and if you're with any organization or if you're here by yourself.
Hi, my name is Sherry Long, and I am a citizen of Delaware.
Welcome, ma'am. Senator Richardson.
Thank you, Madam President. What is your general experience with firearms?
By the age of 12, my father had taken me and I was certified to be able to go and hunt with some of my brothers. And by the age of 18, I was enlisted in our United States Army.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any concerns about this bill? And if so, what are they?
Yes, I do have concerns about this bill. At the age of 19, I found myself to be in a desperate situation. I didn't know how easy it was for someone to bust through a locked door. The hours that followed, I still wish to this day I could erase from my memory. Sometimes you all hear me speak via Zoom mostly. I sound strong and I sound confident when I address you in the committee meetings, and I can assure you that one of the most hated things and challenges I have is speaking in public. But something that I fear more, and that is if I should sit down and not fight and choose to ever be a victim again, because I was already a victim. I know what the realized fear is, and I don't choose to be one again. And at this point in time, I happen to have multiple physical disability issues. And if I don't have that grip to steady that gun, how do I protect myself? My husband is gone for several hours for work at a time. And if someone were to break through that door again, and I'm not capable of protecting myself, then I again end up where I was before, or worse.
Okay, so how would this bill affect your daily life?
I already know what it is like to live in fear, as I mentioned. And I would more than likely have to attempt somehow, some way, if at all possible, to, I don't know, try to alter how I'm able to utilize a gun. But from everything that I'm hearing, with the ability for the grips or a stock and things that would be necessary for me to physically use it to protect myself, I would not have a way to protect myself.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the witness? Okay, I ask for the witness to be excused.
The witness is excused. Thank you, Mrs. Long, for sharing your story. Senator Richardson?
I wonder if Laura McDowell is available virtually.
We are looking, sir.
I am available.
Okay, Mrs. McDowell is present. If you could say who you are and perhaps if you're an individual or representing an organization, ma'am. Thank you.
My name is Laura McDowell. I am born and raised here in Delaware, and I'm representing myself as a single, live alone, disabled elder female who needs to be able to defend herself.
Thank you. Senator Richardson of the witness.
Okay, thank you. What is your general experience with firearms?
I was introduced to firearms at an early age, approximately 11 years old, by my father, just for range and to go hunting with my father.
Okay, do you have any
And
concern?
I now have, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I now have more experience. I have joined the Armed Women of America, and I am also part of the Women's Defense Coalition, and I take a lot of training and practice with different organizations here in Delaware to get more experience and training.
Okay. Do you have any concerns about this bill? And if so, what are they?
I do have sincere concerns about the bill because it's going to turn me into a criminal and not enable me to defend myself against the real criminals out there. I do live in fear because of my disabilities. I have autoimmune issues and disabilities. I cannot fight for myself. I cannot run. I do rely, the grip is important. Folding stocks are important for people that have disabilities and are small in stature. And this bill will take away my abilities to own these firearms legally.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the witness? Okay, ask the witness be excused.
The witness is excused. Senator Richardson.
Okay, I do
Thank
have,
you already.
Uh-oh. Can you make her out of Zoom, please? Yeah, we were being gracious. That was her dog. We were being gracious and letting her speak. It was turning into a little bit of a hearing by their stories, but I wanted to be respectful and let you have that opportunity, Senator Richardson. Senator Richardson?
okay, thank you, Madam President. I had a question for the sponsor of the bill.
Yes, to Senator Moore.
The question is, how does this affect our open carry law in Delaware?
I'm sorry, sir, say that again?
How would this affect our open carry law in Delaware?
Senator Poor?
You mean to carry an AR-15 out in the open?
Well, carry different weapons right now.
Bless you.
We have an open carry law. You can strap a 6-gun to your side and walk around in public. Now, how does this affect that? Does that change that law?
Well, I would say as long as you are, if you are, in my mind, that's transporting. So if you are carrying that on your back out in public, then you would need to just make sure that you have your proof that you own the gun.
Okay, so you could carry it. I've seen people actually in Walmart before with a attached to their side, and I know they're not in law enforcement. So that person would still be allowed to to carry that weapon with them in the retail store if they wanted to, and they just had to have some kind of proof that they own the weapon. Is that right?
So Senator Lawson, yes, that is correct. You just have to show proof that you, I'm sorry, I apologize, Senator Richardson. My apologies. And Senator Lawson jumped right up really quickly. My apologies, Senator Richardson. As long as you can show proof that you own the weapon, yes.
One more.
Senator Richardson.
Okay, thank you. But you would have to carry that proof with you all the time?
If you carry the gun on your back in Walmart every single day, then yes, sir, you would need to have proof that you own the gun.
Okay, does this, another question, please?
Senator Richardson.
Does this affect or influence or change in any way the concealed carry law that we currently have on the books?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Senator Port or Senator Pettyjohn?
Thank you, Madam President. Just a couple clarifying questions, especially on that last point that my good friend Senator Richardson had. If you're carrying one of these with you, you need to, it's my understanding based on what the sponsor just said, you need to be carrying this certificate of ownership with you at the same time?
I don't.
Senator Pettyjohn, I'd like to call special privilege of the floor to have Karen Lance come and answer the question. And then also to make sure that she's probably going to reword how I just clarified.
Karen?
Karen Lance, House Attorney. So by way of clarification, the statute actually does limit the locations in which you can have one of these assault weapons. So you are allowed to have it in the...
In what line are you referencing?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, which lines of the bill?
Yeah. So beginning at lines 203 through 212, it sets out the circumstances in which you may lawfully possess and transport one of the weapons that is discontinued by this act. You may have it at your residence, place of business, or other property owned by you, I shouldn't say you, by the person in question, or in property owned by another person with the owner's express permission, while on the premises of a shooting range, while attending any exhibition, display, or educational project that is about firearms and that is sponsored by, conducted under the auspices of, or approved by a law enforcement agency or a nationally or state recognized entity that fosters proficiency in or promotes education about firearms. And you may possess the weapon while transporting it between any of those places that I previously listed or to a firearms dealer for servicing or repair, but it must be stored in secure storage, which I think is a defined term.
Yeah,
at the
I do
beginning
see
of the
that.
bill.
Starting on line 215, it looks like. Okay. Madam President.
Senator Pettyjohn.
Thank you. While I have you here, I do have another question. What would happen if somebody owned one of these, they lived out of state, and then they moved to Delaware? What would be their remedy at that point in time to be able to keep their property?
So as I read the statute, the person would also, if they wished to retain the weapon upon moving in to the state of Delaware, they would need to be able to prove that they lawfully possessed it prior to the effective date of this act.
Madam President.
Senator Pettyjohn.
And I guess further clarification, I was under the understanding that that could only happen within 1 year of enactment. What happens if it's 2 years after enactment, somebody moves to Delaware?
So again, Senator, the exception actually isn't limited to by where you live at the time that the act takes effect. So if you owned it before the prior date of the act and moved in 2 years later, as it is written, you would be legacied into lawful ownership here.
Okay. Okay, I think that's enough of the.
Okay, Madam, the witness.
Can we please excuse the witness?
Witness is excused. Senator Wilson, nope, Senator Pettyjohn, sorry.
And I appreciate the conversation that Senator Poore and I had off to the side. I just want, I would like to have it stated for clarification when it comes to, and I know we've addressed this, but I think there was still a little bit of confusion when it says completing of a purchase. So for the record, my understanding in talking to the floor manager is that if an individual has paid for, ordered, if one of these items is in transit, when the bill is signed, that they would still be able to complete through an FFL even after this bill goes into effect within 1 year.
As long as you have it within the year.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Wilson?
Thank you, Madam President. I don't really have a question for the bill sponsor. You know, I've sat here for an hour and 50 minutes and I've listened. I think everything's pretty much been answered. I did have some questions to start with, but I do have a witness I'd like to call. You know, I look back on 2004, I was robbed at gunpoint and from my business. And I look at this now at 50 years later, and I say, here we are with firearm laws that I wish it had been different back then. But when I look at the situation now, I say, what are we doing with what's happened to our the recent shootings? And a lot of the questions I had have been answered, but I'd like to call Jeff Haig as a witness. A couple questions I'd like to ask.
Personal privilege granted. Good evening, sir. We know you've been here a few times and know the drill.
Used to work.
I know you worked here. Okay.
My name is Jeff Haig. I'm president of Delaware State Sportsman Association.
Thank you, Mr. Haig. Can you give me an idea of, I know your involvement, I've seen you here at the hall, but can you give me your experience with the firearm situation here in Delaware?
Yes, Senator. I've been involved in the firearms possession use since 1978 here in Sussex County. I've been a competitor in high-power rifles since that time. I've traveled all over the country, several countries of the world to compete in high-power rifle. I've used semi-automatic rifles for many years, including the AR-15, back since 1978 here in Delaware.
Okay, you know, like I said earlier, we've discussed this bill, and I think most of the questions have been, but what are some of your real concerns? I know that you expressed some to me earlier, not today, but earlier when these gun bills first started being circulated. Can you give me some of the concerns that you have?
Yes, Senator. Some of the concerns that I have are that the way the language is in the bill, it's going to be subject to interpretation. Who's going to interpret that? Is that going to be the police officer on the road that happens to run across somebody and then they get tied up into some legal action when it wasn't necessary? With the amendment on the bill, I realize it's from Connecticut, but the courts here in Delaware, circuit courts, haven't interpreted these laws yet. And one of the big concerns I have is about any grip, because you can't hold a firearm without a grip. And it makes any center fire rifle semi-automatic illegal. I don't know as if we really wanted to go that far. I understand the purpose, but I don't think this is the solution. This is not going to solve the crime. It's not going to stop people committing crimes.
So, and with this bill as it's written currently, the daily operations of me running a business or anyone in this chamber, what effect do you think it's going to do to the citizens of Delaware?
There's going to be several effects. One, any rifle club, any pistol club in the state of Delaware is going to see an immediate drop in membership revenue, the ability to host competitions that use some of these firearms. But semi-automatic rifles have been used in competitions since, I don't know, the early 1900s. Since 1963, or so, when the AR-15 was first introduced, it was done for competition purposes. The military then looked at it and saw that the M16 was evolved from the AR-15. So the AR-15, which stands for Armor Light Rifle, was first developed for competitive and civilian use. It evolved over the years to the point where early 1980s at the national championships, you could have over 2,000 competitors that were using semi-automatic firearms, anywhere from M1s, which is from World War II, the M1A, which I have an M1A that was made in 1963. That's a very valuable firearm that is now prohibited by this bill. I can keep it, but I've lost the entire value of it. I can give it to my kids, but if I need it to sell it to get money, I can't do it. So, and then you would have team platforms, which took over competition purposes in about the mid-1980s. So this will have a tremendous effect on those things. Another corollary effect is that you're going to see a tremendous drop in the amount of Pittman Robinson money that is generated through the sale of not only firearms, but accessories, fishing licenses, fishing accessories, and the state gets a portion of that back. That's going to disappear. So there's going to be there is many effects that aren't evident in the bill that are going to be downstream as we go.
Thank you. So I go back to early childhood when I was about 11, 12 years old, started hunting with my dad. So what effect is this going to have on our hunting for our youth in DNREC, for the youth, the hunter safety course we started when they were 12, 14 years old? What's going to happen with that now?
Well, I believe it's going to go down. I think the hunting opportunities are being reduced as we every day now through development and many other reasons. Number of hunting licenses have been on the decline, while the number of white-tailed deer go up. The number of youth getting into hunting is going to be reduced, as earlier witness mentioned. You have straight caliber rifles. That was another method for doing for deer hunting to increase the number of harvested deer. You've also been able to use a caliber 25 or less to hunt varmint, fox, and coyote in Delaware for years. This will eliminate that. You won't be able to purchase those firearms in a semi-automatic platform to be able to do that. And that's where most of the people buy these straight well pistol caliber rifles. So I see an effect in the youth hunters not getting involved anymore because their parents can't get the firearms, and you can't share the same firearm in the woods. If you're going to be two different places, you can't do that. I see a tremendous impact on the youth hunting.
Thank you, Mr. Haig. I have no other questions for the witness. I ask for him to be excused unless someone else has some questions.
Senator Ennis of the witness, because I was going to say to the hour, we want to make sure we're not turning the floor into a hearing.
Yeah, just a couple questions.
Senator Ennis.
A couple questions, if I might, Madam. Mr. Haig, obviously this bill does not focus only on AR-15s. It goes much further. But since it's certainly a big part of the bill, would you have any idea how many AR-15s there are in this country versus how many are in this state?
Estimate number of AR-15s is between 12 and 14 million.